Welcome to the Women's Bar Association of Illinois Cable Show. I'm Judge Patrice Ball-Reed, and we're going to do a sequel because we had so much information that we needed to hear from Justice Rita Garman. Justice Rita Garman is the Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court, and so when we finished our last segment, we were talking about the changes that she's made in the Supreme Court programs and policies, and we're going to continue on with discussions with regard to the Supreme Court, and Judge Jessica Wrong O'Brien is going to begin that discussion.
Shoot. So let's focus more on the Supreme Court.
Okay.
What's the future as far as the Supreme Court is concerned?
Well, of course, we've embarked upon making e-filing mandatory. We've set dates for, drop-dead dates for in the appellate court for July 1st of 2017, and in all the circuit courts of Illinois by the 1st of January 2018. So that's an enormous undertaking. Yes, it is. We also, of course, one of the things that I really wanted to do when I became Chief Justice, we had a commission on access to justice, and I felt that we should integrate that and make that part of the administrative structure of the courts so that the court would always be focused on greater access to justice for the people of Illinois.
How does that work, though? There's so many languages. How do you pick which one?
Well, what we've done, of course, is language certification for those that are interpreters, so that we have quite capable people interpreting, and we do have to, we have to keep abreast of what languages are out there, and there are many. We're also the committee has looked at forms, so that we have forms for many of the simpler kinds of proceedings that are in the circuit courts of Illinois, and those are translated into various languages so that people that are not speaking English as their first language will be able to have access to our courts.
Do we increase our budget every year in order to add more languages and more interpreters?
No, we won't be able to do that, but we do set aside funds for language interpreters and find better and more efficient ways to provide that service.
And I would think that the budget is probably the most challenging part of your job.
Well, of course, as the Chief Justice, it's my responsibility to present the budget to the legislature and to defend the court's budget. While we are the third branch of government, the entire judicial budget is less than 1% of the state of Illinois' budget. Oh, wow. And that is comprised of the salaries of the judges and of course, the benefits. The second portion is all of the basically supporting services, the buildings, the appellate court buildings, and the staff that goes into our administrative structure. And the third part is court services. So there's a pass-through from the legislature for money that comes through, that goes to our probation offices throughout the state of Illinois. And of course, they are critical to helping our citizens that have difficulty in the courts and need supervision.
So you mentioned that being the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, one of your duties is to present the budget to the legislature.
Right.
Any other duties and responsibilities?
Well, as the chief, you're the spokesman for the court. Okay. The chief is, but has an equal vote with other members of the court. So we don't. It isn't like you're the chief and you're just making these decisions on your own. Everything that I do, for example, the initiatives that I've had, I've discussed with my colleagues on the court, and they have agreed with me that these are important initiatives for the court.
So you have to discuss it together,
yes,
and agree that this is what you're. So you're the face of the Supreme Court.
I'm the face of the court, and I give a lot of speeches and appear at a lot of events on behalf of the court. But it is the court's decision. For example, when the judges are appointed, it's the decision of the court. It's not the decision just of the individual judge.
And how does that work with you being appointed to chief? Do you vote on that as a group?
Yes, we vote every 3 years for appointment of the Chief Justice for one of our members, generally by seniority. And then that person, if they're willing to accept that position, and they always have been since I've been on the court, then they take on the responsibility and also focus on what are the most important things they want to accomplish during the time that they're the Chief Justice.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Usually it's consistent or it's complementary to the previous?
It needs to be. It really needs to be, because you can't, if we're really going to make an impact, then these are continuing initiatives, for example, that we need to work on. One of the other things that I thought was so important, it was a focus on judicial education. And the court some time ago adopted mandatory continuing education for lawyers, and then we adopted it for judges. And I thought that that's very important, because in order to serve the public, you have to be knowledgeable about the law, and you have to have an inquisitive mind and keep yourself updated on what's going on.
I'm sure all of the justices in the Supreme Court are capable of serving, but what do you think are the top 3 skill set that you need in order to be an effective Chief Justice?
Well, I think you need to be. I think you have to be organized, because you organize the court schedule and what the court's going to do at each term. Each one of the 5 terms of court, you set the schedule and you decide when you're going to plug in the other things that need to be done, because not only about half of our work is involved with hearing cases, the other half is administration. So we need plenty of time to discuss all the administrative matters that come before the court. The other thing is, I think you have to have be a good listener. I think you have to be willing to listen to your colleagues and to listen to the members of the bar and to the judges to find out really what needs to be done. How can we better serve the public? How can we better make our court system better, for example? So I think those are important things. You have to be able to be, I think, effective in bringing consensus, because with 7 people that are from varied backgrounds in life, varied experiences in life, strong-minded, people have different views, and that's really a richness in our process. I always say that, if everybody came in and agreed on everything, we're either not doing our job, or we're really not thinking about it, or we're just going to be a get-along person, which is not what you want. So it's a good thing that we have dialogue and that we have challenges, and that we have to defend our particular position.
We're going to take a break at this moment in time, and we're going to ask you a lot more questions.
Okay, thank you.
In your new role, we help you help. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who once took care of you.
Welcome back. We've been speaking with Justice Rita Garman from the Illinois Supreme Court. She is currently the Chief Justice, and in our previous discussions, we've talked about how many firsts she's really accomplished. And unfortunately, she is only the 2nd woman to be Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court, and we're going to talk about that and national perspective on women being Chief Justices in the various states. So, Justice Garman, like I said, you've done so many things, you've been first so many times. But as a woman Chief Justice, are there similar situations in other states?
Well, there are. Part of being the Chief Justice is you go to a conference of Chief Justices that's held twice a year at various places throughout the country. And there you have an opportunity to meet the other chief justices and they have business meetings and programs. So it's very good. Actually, there are probably, I would say, nearly half of the chief justices now are women.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the current chief in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, and Minnesota are all women.
Midwest is rather progressive. That's a good
The
thing.
Midwest is really doing pretty well.
Excellent.
California has a woman chief justice. I think New Jersey does. There are a number of women, so it's not at all like it was when I first became a judge, where there were just a sea of men and me.
Okay. That's good. Now, in terms of you're running the Supreme Court's offices as the Chief Justice, the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts, AOIC, as the judges know it, how does that work in comparison to what you have to do with the Supreme Court?
Well, the administrative office is our administrative arm. The director works for the court. They're part of the judicial branch, but their task is, of course, to handle all of the administrative matters on behalf of the court. They do all, as you well know, they handle the compensation and making sure that the judges get paid and that sort of thing. But it's far broader than that, because there are many responsibilities. They're part of the responsibilities include helping probation services throughout Illinois, getting the budget dispersed throughout the state as necessary. The administrative office actually formulates the budget, puts the budget together for the chief, and actually does, they have many responsibilities. It's a very, very broad and fully encompassing job.
And as Chief Justice, what do you think are the challenges that you still have to face, or that you've conquered since you've been there as Chief Justice?
Well, I think that it's an ongoing process. I think that our biggest challenge at the present time is going to be making sure that we get e-filing in the state of Illinois. I've long thought that there's no reason in 2016 that you shouldn't be able to go online and plug in a name of a person and find out if they have any contacts in the court system throughout the state of Illinois. It just doesn't make sense to me that we don't do business that way. Under the prior system, you would have to go to every one of the 102 counties in Illinois to look up and see if you could find anything, and that's just not. It's not only not efficient, but it really doesn't give full information. For lawyers and litigants, they ought to be able to sit in their office and file things, and they shouldn't have to get the papers together and drive to maybe remote courthouses in order to file pleadings or file motions. This is 2016, so we should be able to do business much more efficiently.
And that jives with your concern about technology in general.
Yes.
That's great you've been able to accomplish that.
Yes.
What other, can you think of any
Well,
other
I
states
want
you would like to fix?
I continue to want to see our courts be very transparent, and that people will see their courts as and the importance of their courts to an ordered society. So I think that's an ongoing challenge, that we are transparent, that we are doing our work. I think that we need to have better measures of performance, so that we know how our cases are being handled, whether they're being certain types of cases, or there are bottlenecks places in the system, or there are places we could work on and make things work more efficiently for the people.
That's good. Well, we've been talking about several different things. We're going to take a break at this moment in time, and we're going to start again, have more questions for you.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. And the tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression.
welcome back. We're still talking to Justice Rita Garman, the Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court. It's been so fascinating talking to her that we still have more questions. So Judge O'Brien is going to continue the questioning. Let me do so.
Chief, you were talking about the Supreme Court justices, women Supreme Court justices in the nation.
Yes.
And you had mentioned that there's many, almost half.
Yes.
And among all of the Supreme Court justices that you met, the women, any women of color?
Oh yes. The Chief Justice of Louisiana is a woman of color, for example, and there are other women that are from various ethnic groups. So we, in fact, a couple of years ago, we were at a meeting in West Virginia, and former Justice Sandra Day O'Connor came to our meeting, and we took a picture with all the women. And actually, it had to be, you had to have a big lens because there were a number of women. It was very exciting.
She must have been pleasantly surprised with that.
She was. I mean, for Justice O'Connor and for myself, we've been here long enough to have seen situations where we were the only or one of very, very few, and out of seeing these opportunities is really a great joy.
Well, we're progressing.
Yes, we are.
So, Judge Bowley had asked you about the challenges in the Supreme Court. What I want to ask you, though, is what is the most rewarding thing about serving as chief or being just a justice in the Supreme Court?
Well, I think as chief, it's being able to speak on behalf of the court and to try to articulate the importance of the judicial branch and the importance of jurisprudence in our society. And so that is a real gift, and the opportunities are just endless. Yes.
And as far as your legacy is concerned, what would you like everyone to remember you as the Chief Justice?
Well, I hope my legacy is that people have more opportunity, and that maybe I've made the door a little wider for people, and that and people don't look at you're not in the woman's slot or you're not in the African American slot. We need to get beyond that. We need to be talking about qualifications, and those are, in my opinion, are not qualifiers. That's part of who we are. But let's talk about our abilities, and let's use people's abilities and their gifts in the best way we possibly can without
many gifts, like the interviewing gifts.
That's right. Like that, don't pigeonhole people. And I've seen that happen over the years, and I still see that happen, which is very distressing because they'll talk about, well, so-and-so has the woman's slot. What's the woman's slot?
There's no
slot.
vacancy.
No,
right? There's no vacancy that's owned by any.
Absolutely,
groups.
by any group. Exactly.
Well, you're talking about qualifications, though, for people who are wanting to go to law school, who want to be a judge, want to go to appellate court, want to be Supreme Court, who are thinking about going to law school and joining the legal profession. What advice would you give them?
Well, I think if that's your dream, I think you should pursue it. I think that when you go to law school, you should try to have as rich of an experience as you possibly can. And I also think young lawyers need to be encouraged to have wide exposure in the law, and not to be afraid to say, well, I don't like this, I like something else that's something different. I mean, we don't all have to become judges, we don't all have to become transactional lawyers, we can, as I said early on, the great draw of the profession is there are so many different directions you go, so there's really something for everyone. And I think it's a wonderful profession to be in. It's been a wonderful profession for me.
Did you have any mentors?
Well, I did. My mentors, of course, were male because there were no women. There were no women law professors, for example, when I was in school, and certainly no women lawyers as mentors. But I did have mentors, beginning with the Legal Aid Committee that really mentored me. And then I had a number of circuit judges that were real leaders to me, and inspirations to me, and were very helpful to say, you can do it.
If you were to name one person today, who inspired you the most in your, not just judicial career, but throughout your legal profession?
Well, probably Justice Ben Miller would be a person that I would say inspired me the most. I thought Justice Miller was very progressive when he was the Chief Justice. I remember back in the 90s, we had a future of the courts, talking about what the courts would be like in 2020.
That is
We're going to be there
we are there.
very
Yes, we
quickly,
are.
very quickly. Yeah, but he was one that, for example, instituted family violence coordinating councils throughout Illinois, and he was very progressive in so many regards, and so that was his legacy was a great inspiration to me.
What now? I mean, you've been a judge for, well, you were 21 years in the circuit court, 5.5 years in the appellate court, and now
It's 42 if you add it up.
What now? What's
Well,
the future?
I'm enjoying what I do. People talk about retirement. I could have retired a long time ago. I maxed out a long time ago, but
You love this job.
I love what I do, and I am challenged to go to work every day. And if I find that I don't feel that way about it, then I will retire. But I'm really enjoying the opportunities that are still afforded to me.
It's very refreshing to have somebody like you, Chief, talking about this, because you really seem to enjoy your work, your profession.
I do.
So if, I wanted to quickly touch upon your family, because obviously that must have been one of your challenges, raising kids. I know you have 2 kids.
I do.
You want to tell us how maybe you can advise
Well,
young attorneys on how to balance?
My husband, my late husband, was a tremendous inspiration and a great support. He was always my biggest hero and my biggest advocate, and so he was always there for me. My children are just delightful, very bright kids. Neither one of them wanted any part of the law. My daughter's a preschool teacher and volunteers for all kinds of activities. She and her husband have 2 children, 15 and 12. And my son is the sports director on the CBS station in Des Moines. So he always wanted to be a sports guy, and I was tempted when he was saying he wanted to do television. I thought, you'll starve to death. And then I thought, my parents didn't rain on my parade when I said I wanted to be a lawyer when women weren't lawyers. So why should I do that? And he's just having the best time. He has a wonderful wife and 2 little children. I have a 4-year-old granddaughter with them and a 5-month-old grandson. So I love my family. I have a wonderful family. They're very supportive. My kids are very protective of their mom, and we're all very close.
Is it the secret of balancing, finding a husband who's going to be very supportive?
Balancing your life is very important.
Justice Garman, you were talking about transparency, and the Illinois Supreme Court has a website. Could you tell us what their website is?
Well, it's at illinoiscourts.gov, and that's another initiative I have. We want to update and expand our website. We think it could be better. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Okay. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you,
your time
Judge.
with us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you so
You're
much.
doing a great job. Thank you.
Yes, you are.
Thank
Wonderful,
you.
Chief
Thank
Justice.
you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to our show. It's the Women's Bar Association of Illinois Cable Show. Our guest was Chief Justice Rita Garman, the Chief Justice of Illinois Supreme Court. Those who tune into another of our shows, thank you so much.